What's going on, everybody? This is episode 471 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. Today is not going to be one of these episodes where I'm necessarily hyping up anything. If you've seen any of these games that the Falcons and Georgia Southern played, there's no need to be hyping up this team. But there's also not a reason to bash them or down them, because that's lazy. That's too easy. But we're going to have a real talk, a real mid-season talk, mostly for the Falcons. The Georgia Southern Eagles is pretty much somewhat past mid-season, but it applies to them too. We're going to talk about both of these teams. We're really going to get into the meat and the potatoes of what's going on here, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about some things that need to be addressed and fixed, because both of these teams are way too good to be playing this way. Yes, I said it. They're way too good to be playing the way they're playing, and we're going to get into that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I also have a new link. I told you I was going to have this up and running last week. The Locals account, that link will be down in the description. The Locals is basically going to be an area where we could talk about things that don't make it to the podcast or things that don't make it to my other channel. So if you guys are interested, you guys want to support, all that is going to be on that website. It's not much there yet. It is live now. It is VF Baller Sports and Gaming locals.com. The link is down in the description. You can check it out. I may put some new graphics up so you guys could check out the websites and everything else I have in the description, so you guys could actually support. So I'm going to get into that at a later time so you guys can check out the Locals, all the other stuff. I really appreciate the support. You guys have been awesome. But we're going to talk about these two teams right now, because I'm a little disappointed, but I am a little optimistic as well. I think both of these teams could easily get on a run and win a whole bunch of games. I really believe that Georgia Southern could win out for the rest of the season. I really believe that. And I think the Atlanta Falcons could win maybe what they're right now, 4-5. I think they could, and I think they got 8 games left. There's a possibility they could win, 6 of those 8 games. And I'm serious when I say that, because this team, both of these teams, but we're going to get into the Falcons first. This team is too good. And yeah, I said it. This team is too good to be in the situation they're in. They're the best team in their division. They're the best team in the NFC South. Yeah, I mean, can anybody dispute that? You think that the Falcons are better than the Panthers? I think so. They're 2-7 right now. You think they're better than the Saints? I do. They barely have a quarterback, and Michael Thomas is not playing. And the rest of the team has just not been themselves. The Bucs have Tom Brady, but they're struggling. I mean, they've been struggling. I mean, they've been struggling just as bad as any other team that I've seen. And if you look at the rest of the NFC in general, you have the Eagles and you have the Vikings. They look good. The NFC West, I don't know what to make of that, but I'll tell you one thing. We beat the 49ers and we beat the Seahawks. We're the best team in this division, and we already know the elephant in the room. I talked about it on my post-game video yesterday when I talked about what was going on with Marcus Mariota. Somebody tried to get on to me about pronouncing his name. I need to pronounce the T, and I'm making it with the Y. Whatever. I just thought that was fascinating. Marcus Mariota is the problem. Now, I really don't want to go down that path, because I really want to talk about Desmond Ridder. I think it's time to have that conversation at this point. I really think it's time to have that conversation. I'm not saying put him in this game, but it's time to have a serious conversation collectively. And I think there's other avenues that do Atlanta Falcons coverage on the YouTubes or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure there are other places that have been talking about it. But I don't really follow them like that. I'm just going by what I say. And I think it's time over here we're having the discussion. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm doing the locals. You can go over there to locals. You can check that out. We might probably have a more of a discussion with that. Probably have a live stream talking about that. And I want your feedback. Like I said, stuff that don't make it here will be over there. But the rest of this team is actually playing pretty good football. We're running the ball like crazy. Nobody can stop the run. The run blocking is great. Hell, even the pass blocking is way better than last year. The receivers are getting open, even though they had some questionable drops last game, but I don't want to talk about that right now. But it all goes back to who's under center, or who's in the pistol, or who's in the shotgun. And it's not a knock on Marcus Mariota. I think he's done pretty good for most of the things that he's done. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying that he's absolutely terrible, but you can tell what is the weakest stronghold. I was trying to say it like that. You can see what the weakest stronghold in this team is. This defense played very well against a lot of elite talent this year. They played well against the 49ers. They played pretty good against the Rams. They played pretty good against the Buccaneers. They played pretty good against the Seahawks, and they played good against this Chargers team. We should have been up by at least 2 touchdowns on this team. Something needs to change here. Something needs to change, and I firmly believe when I look at everything that's going on, I think it's under center. Now, do I think Desmond Ridder will come in and make it better? I don't know. But we've both seen we all seen where rookies come in and make a difference. They do have growing pains, but they make a difference. I think Desmond Ridder is smart enough to figure it out. I do think that. I think Desmond Ridder is smart enough to catch on things really fast and actually be a decent, and a good quarterback. I do believe that. This team is just too close, in my opinion, to make to fall short like this. They're too close. They can make it easily. Every single game that we was in was winnable. Maybe outside of the Bengals game, you can make a case for that. But every other game we had was very winnable. And most of the time when we look at the losses, you see what was the common denominator were. And yeah, in some cases when you see the wins, you see what the common denominator were. But we're not here to play or based on mediocrity. We should not be sitting around and be happy with 4-4, 5-4. I think the team collectively has played very good football, but we know what the common denominator is holding this team back. And if anybody think otherwise, please let me know. They need to make a change at some point. And before I jump to the Georgia Southern Eagles, I'm going to say this. If this team continues what they're doing, they're probably, seriously, if they continue to do what they're doing, they possibly going to end up with another 7-10 season or 6-11 season. This can't be sustainable. So wherever, even if they don't, even if they continue to have Marcus Mariota as the starter, he's going to have to do something different. He's going to have to make a change here. He's going to at least have to play like he's been playing in the wins, or he's going to have to play a little bit better. He's got to clean up a lot of things that he's done, these overthrows and these other crazy decisions or whatever. And I'm not saying that he's not the only person. There's other people that have been making mistakes. Make no mistake, but who has the ball in their hand 100% of the time when they're on offense? 100% of the time, there's one player that has the ball in their hands on offense in some form or fashion. And that's the difference maker of what this team can do. Point blank, period. Now, before like I said, I done said enough about it. Let's talk about Georgia Southern before I get out of here. Georgia Southern disappointed me in probably the most frustrating loss, just like the Falcons loss was, one of the most frustrating losses of the season. I understood UAB. Hell, I even understood the loss to the Coastal. I explained those losses away. I understood the loss to Georgia State. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't understand what's going on. I understood those losses. What I don't understand is this loss to South Alabama. I did not understand that loss. We was looking at a completely different team. You know what? We were looking at a team from 2 years ago. And in some cases, we were looking at a team from last year in the last 2 quarters, the last game. When you look at this team, the third and fourth quarter of the South Alabama game, we look like the team from 2019, 2020, and in some cases 2021. And it's very frustrating because we all know this team is better than that. We put up 10 points in a quarter. We're not putting 10 points up in a half. Unacceptable. Like I said, we put up 39, 49, 59 points easily. In some cases, we do it in our sleep, metaphorically. But this team is too good. Even if they lost to South Alabama, you're not supposed to lose that way. So, the next 3 games they got, Georgia Southern has Louisiana, Marshall, Appalachian State. A lot of people saying that these teams did not gimmies. Obviously, they're not. But I will say this. I feel that we're the better team out of all 3 that we face. I believe that we're better than all those teams. I think Appalachian State is going to give us a run. And I know Marshall has a pretty good defense. Even with our problems on defense, I still think we're a better team. So with that being said, we need to really find a way to make things happen and win these games. Because there's no excuse. There's no excuse for us to play like how we played last week. There's no excuse. Now, we've been playing Louisiana on Thursday. It's going to be a really interesting game. I expect for Georgia Southern to play mad. I expect them to play with a purpose. I expect for them to play like it's the end of the season and their season's online because, basically you're going to be in a situation where you're trying to go bowling. And that's something that you would want to do. That's a huge turnaround. You already surpassed the win total of last year. You really want to double up on that. I was still looking at 8 wins this season. It's still doable because, like I said, I think they could beat all 3 of these teams. But what they did in the last half of that South Alabama game, that can't happen again. We can't do that. And the thing about it is, there's nothing wrong with the team. They did everything they were supposed to do. I know Jalen White, and I got an episode on Jalen White coming up really soon. I hope you guys check that out. It'll probably be about my 3rd or 4th time talking about Jalen White because I love the running back. I love the kid. But it's a video, probably going to be a video for I may not do that on the podcast. I may do it on my locals. You can go check out the locals, and we'll probably do it over there. But Jalen White dropped a couple of passes, which was heartbreaking. It's very uncharacteristic. I don't know if it's because of the rain. It was wet out there. I don't know. But if he caught those passes, it could have been a big difference maker of this game. And the defense just laid down when they weren't able to tackle anymore. I guess later on in the game, they just got tired of tackling. It really sucks. I think, Ladarius Webb had like 37 carries for 200-plus yards. Yes, I know we have bad run defense, but at the same time, our offense is supposed to counter that with a high-powered offense. We're not going to have a good run defense until next year, in my opinion. That doesn't mean they can't stop the run in some form or fashion, but they should be able to stop it to the point where we don't give up that many yards. So I expect that to get better. I know we're going to be looking at Peoples for Appalachian State later on this year. That's going to be tough, but I don't expect Louisiana and I don't expect Marshall to run the ball on us that tough. I don't expect it, but who knows? I just don't expect it. I believe the Eagles will bounce back on Thursday. I can't wait. I'm going to be watching both games because the Falcons and the Eagles play on the same day. That's going to be really awesome to see. I'm definitely going to be on both of those games. Give you my thoughts and opinions on both when the games are over. But both of these teams are they're way too good for this. They're too good for this. And as a fan base, I'm not saying we say and demand better, but we need to have a conversation for these teams to be better. We need to talk about these teams being better. So we'll have that talk at a later time. I don't have much else to say on this episode. I just want you guys to know that it's time for a mid-season talk. And hopefully you guys give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think, because these two teams are very good. These teams are very good. And it shouldn't be like this. And yeah, I said it. I may be the only one out here saying it, but I believe both of these teams are very good. Once again, the Falcons are the best team in their division. If you don't think so, give me another team in the South that's better than us. Georgia Southern, they may not be the best team in their half of the conference, but they're way better than what they're playing like now. We shouldn't have lost to Georgia State, giving up the ball 5 times. We shouldn't have lost to Coastal. We got to make a play and stop them. And to be quite honest, we shouldn't have lost to South Alabama. We had them dead to rights and we laid down in the fourth quarter. Unacceptable. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give me a 5-star rating on that star chart over there on Apple. Also, I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I also have a locals channel. VF Baller Sports and Gaming at .locals.com. VF Baller Sports and Gaming .locals.com. Go over there and be a supporter. I really would appreciate it. Also, I have a Discord if you want to go over there. We mostly talk about Georgia Southern football over there with a little bit of Falcon stuff, but the local stuff is for gaming and sports. So the VF Cast stuff will be over there. The sports stuff will be over there as well as a conglomerate of both. Hopefully you guys will check that out. And I just appreciate y'all. Thank you guys very much for doing a little bit you do to support. I cannot thank you guys enough. I'm going to get out of here. I got a couple other things I got to do. Going to get this rest of this week started. And you guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.